Hello YouTube, DDeckin here, and as you can see by my screen, I have just completed the DD Castle Siege event that's currently going on in Duel Links. Now, normally this would not be a video I make. Because, well, this event is somewhat easy. Like, it's not too difficult, especially with the damage multiplier, which I didn't actually use too much. Like, I used it here and there, but the reason I'm making this video is because I actually completed this event with not only one character, but one deck in particular, that's so weird and so random that it worked. Like, don't get me wrong, the deck I used had a theme. It had a theme, but it's not a common theme, and I'm actually surprised it worked. As you can see, like I used Callan Kessler just because he was a level 1 character. I just wanted to level up for the event. And this is the only deck I had for him, so it was literally a deck I threw together. Okay, I lied. I threw a couple cards in here, and I hit auto deck complete. And, yeah, this deck. I used insects to beat a vampire-themed event. There should be a joke here. I don't know how to make the joke, but yeah, I did. Okay, so how does this deck work? And how did I make this deck? Let me explain that first. So, generally when I make the first deck for a character, what I typically try to do is I try to make the deck, like, themed based to that character. Like, for example, you say I tried throwing a bunch of junk cards in the deck, like Junk Synchron, Junk Forward. Like, I try to make a Synchron-based deck off that, and that was his initial deck. Cool. With Kaiba, I made Blue Eyes because Kaiba. With Carly Carmine, not Dark Center Carly Carmine, but Carly Carmine, I tried to make a Fortune Fairy deck, and I eventually made a Fortune Fairy Blue Eyes deck, which is fun, So for Callan, I don't actually have a bunch of Infernity cards, just because I haven't touched the Infernity box. So, I didn't exactly know how to quite do that and I haven't leveled up my other, Callan. So pretty much what I did was I threw in a bunch of Infernity cards I had, and I decided to randomly throw in, just because it was something, like, on the top part of this list here, I decided to throw in Tech Genus Tank Bug, right? Maybe I can make some sort of a Tech Genus Infernity deck. That's what I was thinking. I hit Auto Build Deck, and yeah, there were some Infernity cards. It threw in Wave Motion Inferno, which, that's an Infernity card. It threw in the continuous Tech Genus card that boosts all Tech Genus monsters by 300, which, okay, that's fine. And then the rest of the deck was just insects. Which I don't... so it was like, yeah, sure, I could do something here. So I decided to take off all the Infernity and just hit Auto Deck Complete, and it just gave me more insect cards. So I took out the Tech Genus cards, hit Auto Duel Complete, and it made a deck, and the deck actually worked, weirdly enough. So from there, I took out a couple cards, and I threw in a few cards of my own, and this deck right here, I don't know how. Like I know how to play this deck, yes, because I've tried it a couple times, and it's got some weird utility. I'm not lying about that, but this is also a deck that the AI knows how to play. Like, usually I have problems with the AI, like, not using certain cards correctly, but no, like, for the majority of the duels in the DD Tower, I just hit Auto Duel, and with this deck, it just completely beat most of the early draft duels up to like up to like floor 25. It just auto completed all the duels. There were one or two duels where it did deck out just because this deck thins a lot, and there were a couple duels where I didn't have the correct typing at the right moment. But other than that, yeah, no, I hard ignored this event, and I completed it with this random stupid deck. So how does this random stupid deck actually work? So what you want to do in the early game for this deck is to thin your deck out hard using cards like Retaliating Sea and Howling Insect as soon as it's not scrolling for some reason. There we go. But as well as Verdant Sanctuary. Verdant Sanctuary effect lets you Verdant Sanctuary, whenever an insect type monster dies, you can search an insect monster with the same level. So as you can see, there's a lot of level 4s and even some level 3s, so there's a lot of synergy there. When Howling Insect dies, it summons a insect with 1500 less attack from your deck. So if you have multiple monsters coming at you, you can go Howling Insect into a Howling Insect into literally anything else. preferably either Retaliating Sea to search either Transcicada, or you search Resident Insect, or you can go Howling Insect, and either go Transcicada to activate Transcicada's effect to summon a level 3 token, which I'll talk about in a bit. Or if you already have a level 4 in your hand, you can summon the Infernity Beetle. Now, Infernity Beetle was not in this deck already. It's something I added for reasons I'll explain here in a sec. But there are 2 main boss monsters, but there are other cards you can actually play with, as you can see from the extra deck here. Now, how do I talk about this? If you end up with Infernity Beetle at any given time in the field, you can drop Resident Insect, or you can drop literally Albatross, whatever. And you can go into Underground Arachnic. Now, Underground Arachnic is basically why I won most of this event. What this card does is, when it attacks, your opponent can activate spell trap cards, which did not matter as much, because they weren't really running battle traps, I guess. But what you mainly want to use it for is, once per turn, you can target a face-up card your opponent controls and equip it to this card. And if this card were to be destroyed, you can just destroy that equip card instead. So basically what this meant was, typically whenever the new boss monster came out, I got to summon Underground Arachnic, equip the boss monster, and then just not care. Like, if they try to attack with another boss monster, cool. My equip card died, and then I re-equipped whatever boss monster came after me. Which, that worked. And, of course, Albatross here. So, Albatross is a card I tried actually using I tried to use my Insector deck. And the idea behind Albatross here was, when Albatross is normal summoned, you special summon a level 3 or lower insect from your graveyard. So, what I was trying to do with my Insector deck was, okay, so if my Insector Centipede dies, I can summon Albatross. Insector Centipede revives in defense mode. I can use Centipede's effect, equip Hornet, use Hornet, blah, blah, blah. That was my rationale with trying to use this card. And, and also, when this card dies from, I believe, battle? Yes. Oh no, when it's destroyed by a Hornet card effect, even better. You summon another Battle Wasp from your deck. So if you have 2 Albatross, you summon your second Albatross, and you just get the effect off. Which is fine, of course, yes. But in this deck, there is a whole lot more utility that I did not give it credit for. So, obviously, starting with the obvious first, Verdant Sanctuary. You can search this card out with Verdant Sanctuary when either Pinch Hopper or your Resident Insect dies. And of course, Resident Insect, when it dies, or gets sent from the field to graveyard, I should say, you can search a level 5 or higher insect, which in this deck case is Primitive Butterfly or Doomdozer. Doomdozer is the boss monster of this deck, essentially, is the main deck boss monster of this deck. Like, you only need one, and it just runs over a lot of things. But I'm going to talk about that in a sec. And, again, the great thing about Resident Insect is you can tune it with Infernity Beetle to go into Underground Arachnic, and then its effect searches you Doomdozer, to which you can banish Insect and Infernity Beetle, which you don't really want to, but if you can, sure. But you can sync them, you can banish them both for Doomdozer, and you have a 24, which you're going to equip whatever card destroyed your monster to do it. Whatever if it's a monster, you equip it. And you have a 2800 and 2400 monster right off back. It's a very, like, I'm trying to explain this deck, I really am. But going back to Albatross. So, on the event that your Infernity Beetle dies, of course, you can normal summon Albatross. Albatross revives Infernity Beetle, and then you also can go into another Underground Arachnic. That's kind of crazy. In addition, if you have a Underground Arachnic just sitting out, what you can do is you summon Albatross, you revive the Infernity Beetle, you sync Infernity Beetle into Albatross, and then you go Humma, the Conquering Bow. And then Humming the Conquering Bow has 2 attacks, because you used a Synchro monster to summon it. Incidentally, as weird as this might sound, if you have a Transcicada in your graveyard for whatever reason, you can also normal summon Albatross, revive the Transcicada. Transcicada's effect lets you summon a level 3 token. You sync the Transcicada and token into Halbert the Charge, and then Halbert the Charge is a big monster. And if you happen to get yourself an Infernity Beetle for whatever reason, you then take Infernity Beetle with Halbert the Charge, and then you go Humma. So, okay, so let me just start by saying that this deck is very stupid. And that's just the main core of the deck, how the deck works. Also, Retaliating Sea has an effect where it can summon itself from your hand. But it never came up in the event, so I didn't use it for that effect. Also, you can also use Retaliating Sea in the same way with Resonant Insect. If you have Retaliating Sea on your field, you can tune it with Infernity Beetle to immediately search like Howling Insect or literally any, or even another Transcicada. But nevertheless, as for other cards in the deck, so I've already talked about Doomdozer. Doomdozer is basically the powerhouse. So Doomdozer is actually kind of a double-edged sword, in all honesty. Like, the great thing about Doomdozer is he's a 28-beat stick that kind of just comes out of nowhere and then just wrecks. That's what he's mainly do. But if he stays around for a turn or two and he inflicts battle damage, he mills the top card of your opponent's deck, which, depending on what deck you go against, that can be really good or really bad. Like, in the early game, like if you milk off a Fiend or Insect whenever Dark World players can easily has the trap card that banishes a Fiend from their graveyard to, or I'm trying to talk too much, but or with vampires, if you mill off a vampire and they can kind of revive it or do whatever, or they can, if you mill off a familiar or you mill off a bat, they can revive it. So it's a double-edged sword. Like, it generally does good things, but it does a lot of damage. That's mainly what it's good for. Primitive Butterfly. So Primitive Butterfly is not only a second target for Resident Insect, it's an okay card. Like, I noticed the AI spammed it whenever it did not need to, but the idea behind Butterfly is Butterfly is basically a Cyber Dragon. If you have no monsters, you special summon it from your hand, to which you can then either go Transcicada into Hama, or you use Primitive Butterfly's effect, increase its level by 1, and then you summon Infernity Beetle, and then you go Hama, because it's now level 6. Like, that was the idea behind the card, and I actually got like a turn 1 Hama from it, so it does do its stuff. Not to mention, by putting either Transcicada or Infernity Beetle into your graveyard, you then have access to Albatross to special summon them back, which gives you access to either Halbert, or it gives you access to Underground Arachnic. Pretty straightforward. Pinchhopper I didn't actually use as much. I'm actually tempted a little bit more with a second Resident Insect over Pinchhopper, but the idea behind Pinchhopper is just more defense, really. Like, if your opponent has 3 monsters going to beat you down with, and you can only set one thing, you set Pinchhopper to special summon like a Howling Insect from your deck, and Howling Insect summons another Howling Insect, which then gets you either Resident Insect, Retaliating Sea, or gets you the Infernity Beetle, or even the Cicada. That's kind of what it does. It's basically one extra buffer. While also being a level 4 monster, you either search off Verdant Sanctuary, or you use Verdant Sanctuary to search off Albatross. Like, that's mainly the point of the card. It's also a card the deck gave me, so it came in handy. As for the other cards, Twinbow the Attacker is a card you can summon off Albatross when you run out of Albatross in your deck. Like, when Albatross dies, you summon a Battle Wash from your deck. Since Albatross is a Battle Wash, you generally go Albatross and Albatross, but if you need to, you can also go Twinbow. Twinbow is a 1000 attack level 3 that not only can just special summon it from your hand for free. Like, this card does not need anything, it can just special summon your hand from free. The only downside is, you're locked into only insects from your extra deck for the turn, but this is an insect deck, so you don't actually care about that. It's a free card you get from your hand, essentially, which is nice. And there was one play I made. I'll be honest. So there was one play where I had, Primitive Butterfly here. I special summoned it, special summoned Twinbow, used Primitive Butterfly to make Twinbow level 4, and then a normal summon Infernity Beetle to then go into Underground Arachnic. Could I have gone Halma? Yes, I could, but I wanted Underground Arachnic. There was also a situation, no. There's also a situation where I hard Twinbow, I special summoned Twinbow, normal summoned Transcicada, and then just went into Halbert. Like, Twinbow is really funny. Like, it has a lot of random funny plays, and the best part about this stupid card is this thing attacks twice. So you clear out your opponent's board, and then this thing can attack a weak monster, you attack with everything else, and then it just attacks directly for free 1000. It's also wind, which there's one or two event boss monsters that are weak to wind, which, it did extra damage. Cool. So it's nice. Uh, this card's the best card in the deck. This is the best card of the deck. For those who don't know, what this card does is if you have an insect on your field, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then once per turn, it can inflict 200 points of damage to your opponent. It is a free Sparks. This stupid card. Okay, so this card actually has another. So I originally threw this card in the deck for the sole purpose of having just one more target for Albatross. Just if Albatross dies, you summon a Battle Wasp. This is a Battle Wasp. Like, if I was playing smart, I'd probably play 2 Twin Bows. But the reason I decided to play this stupid card was for the total meme of this card inflicts 200 points of damage. This card is literally Sparks. This is once per turn Sparks. The card. And then literally the first duel I played with this card, there was another point to the stupid card that I found out. So there's this card right here called Insect Imitation, and this was also another card I was running in Battle Wasp Insector at one point, but what this card does is you sack whatever monster you control, and you summon an insect from your deck for free. And summon an insect from your deck that's 1 level higher. That's what this card does, right? So, first duel, not lying, summoned, pinned the bullseye, activated Sparked effect, and then Insect Imitation, pinned the bullseye into Infernity Beetle, because it's level 1 into level 2. And sadly, that worked. I'm not joking here, that worked. First duel, pinned the bullseye into Infernity Beetle, went into Underground Arachnic, equipped a monster, did massive damage. So because of that, it's been in this deck ever since. And there was one duel. There was one duel in the entire wave lineup where the AI was just stalling the entire time. So pinned the bullseye 1 turn, passed, pinned the he had 800 life, and over the course of 4 turns, I pinned the bullseye 4 times and just won the duel. Just because the AI was stalling, and it randomly let me win. I love this stupid card. As for the other cards, they're very self-explanatory. Econ is very hit or miss in this deck, and the reason for that is Econ is a card that the AI doesn't know how to play for whatever reason. It understands, oh, hey, I don't want my monster to die, so I'll use the first effect of Econ to change battle position. Yes. And it'll do that, yes. But the problem is, it never utilizes Econ to its full potential. There is, I mentioned how Resident Insect and Howling and Retaliating Sea both have the effect of when they're sent to the graveyard, you search. That's what they do. That's what they're meant for. And Econ, you can sack both of them to steal an opponent's monster, and then either search a monster you need, or you search Dundos or whatever. Right? No. The AI wants to just spam the first effect. Even when... I don't know why it does this. It'll Wall Disruption, Chain Link 1, and then Chain Link 2 Econ. Why does it do that? I don't know. But Econ is just a good card, overall. I have a Prismatic card, might as well use it, but... And lastly, of course, Layer Wire. Layer Wire is kind of a funny card, actually. It's not as good as Raigeki Break or Ballistic Squad in terms of hard getting rid of, backer or anything, but it gets rid of an opponent's monster, and sometimes getting rid of a monster that's in the way just to get a free win is a good thing. It's a disruptor. You only need 1 or 2 disruptors per wave monster, and it works when it works. It gets rid of a big boss monster, and then you just run over the AI. And, yeah, that was this stupid deck. I was talking for 19 minutes. Oh my gosh, I apologize, but, also, I'm not using a skill, because, again, I'm using insects on Callan Kessler. Callan Kessler has Infernity-based skills right now, and I'm using insects. There should be another joke there. There should be a joke there. I don't know what the joke is, but how is your DD Tower Sage event going? Are you doing well? Will this deck help you win the event altogether? Let me know in the comments, and yeah, have a good night. Just have a good night.